Hey, what is up, fellow Raiders? This is Vulcan Dan, and in today's Raid Shadow Legends video, we are going to talk about the fusion that will end very soon. We just have 4 days left. Now, if you're planning to fuse her, I would say hold off until the very last day because sometimes we do have a champion chase tournament that coincides with the very last day of fusion, and that is some wasted points if you fuse Mother Cybele before that happens, because getting a legendary champion during that champion chase does give you a lot of extra points. So make sure you wait. I do have all of my champions ready right now, just waiting for that very last day to fuse. And yeah, also one other tip is that if you have another fusion or fragment that is coming up, like if you have someone just sitting around, like I have 6 fragments left for Rian the Conjurer, so I'm waiting for that, and we'll see if we have a champion chase at the end of this week, and then I can pull Rian or summon her from the fragments by finishing Doom Tower normal, the secret rooms. So yes, those are some extra ways that you can get those points from the tournaments and events. So yeah, so let's go back to Mother Cybele right now. If you are a newer player and you probably didn't have time to fuse all of the epics, all of the rares, and you are just a few days away from, of course, completing the events, and you can already see that you don't, or that you are unable to fuse the legendary champion here, don't worry, I will be talking about some of these epics, and they have some uses in the game as well. So this is not a bad time to try to get these epics, because some of these are actually some quality epics that can be used in some areas of the game. And if you do, or if you're a player that does have the resources to fuse Mother Cybele, it can also be an option for you to try and see if these epics are of more use to your account. So it would depend on an account to account basis. Depends on what you need. Maybe you need some extra champion for faction wars because you of course want to get Lydia as quickly as you can. Maybe your Knights Rev are already done, so you don't really need another legendary in Mother Cybele. So yeah, so it just depends. Take a look at your account and what you need. So maybe you don't really need to fuse for the legendary, although as a general rule, I would say that getting a legendary is of course highly advisable, even though like for my account right now, in the meantime, Mother Cybele would most likely be a Vault Guardian for me. I don't really have much of a use for her. She does have an AoE A1, so that's good with a stun set, and her speed aura is of course excellent as well, but I don't really need her as of now. I will fuse her, I will put her in my vault, and find some use for her later on. Maybe she gets a buff in the future. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at these epic champions. Now you might have noticed that my voice is a little bit hoarse right now. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but I still wanted to put out a video just to help you guys decide if you want to fuse this legendary or not. So yes, I'm putting in the grind for all of my viewers out there. All right, so let's take a look at the first one. We have Jurojin from the Shadowkin faction. Now this champion is not as talked about as the other 3, but he does have some pretty good things in his kit. He is an HP based champion, so of course his damage is based on HP. He has this nice decrease attack on his A1, has a shield and provoke single target on his A2, and he has this this single hitter A3 actually hits hard. You can book this down to a 3-turn cooldown, ignores 25% of the target's defense. It's actually a very good hard hitting single hitter, but all of his skills are single hitters, so he will excel in some boss fights. He has this nice little passive that helps him stay alive, and of course him being an HP based champion, that also helps him stay alive longer. And when I look at this skill, I actually thought of the Celestial Griffin as a Doom Tower boss. So if you're somewhere in the early to mid game and you're having a hard time with the Celestial Griffin because he is a very difficult boss to deal with, Jurojin can help there, because The boss has a passive skill that he attacks whenever one of your champions reach or drops below 50% HP. Now this champion, when he is below 50% HP, he will receive 25% less damage from enemy attacks. So he, being sturdy, being an HP based champion, and of course having this passive right here, makes him stay alive longer, because in that boss fight you do want to stay alive while dealing as much damage as you can, and that is what his kit does. He does deal a lot of damage, and then his A1 decreased attack also helps your team stay alive. So I think he is designed to be an early to mid game champion that will help you out with the Celestial Griffin. That's really all I could see about him, because he doesn't do much for waves because he is a single hitter. But yes, he does stay alive longer than other champions in boss fights because of this passive right here. And he has a little nifty aura right here: increase ally HP in all battles by 25%. So yeah, so I think he will do some good work for you if you're having a hard time with the Celestial Griffin boss. And if you notice, a lot of these epic champions are either HP based or support. We do have a not a lot of HP based champion in this game. We do have a lot of course, attack based, defense based, and then when you get to HP based, we don't have a lot of choices. So it's good that Plarium decided to put more HP based champion. The only non-HP based champion in this in the list of 4 epic champions is this guy or gal, Cornelia, but she is a support champion. Her damage is based on attack, but of course you will not be building her with a lot of attack or a lot of crit. You will be putting a lot of HP and defense on this champion. So she has this nice little single hitter that increases the cooldown of one of the target skills by 2 turns at random. It's an okay skill, all right? She has this AoE sleep, and then if and then when the enemy loses the sleep placed by this skill, it has a 50% chance of replacing it with a fear. So this is good for the Dwarves faction wars, because among the epics, you don't really see a lot of CC or crowd control champions in the Dwarves. We do have Rockbreaker. He has this nice AoE provoke, but not everyone has a Rockbreaker. And of course, Cornelia also has this nice little heal with turn meter boost, only for one ally though, but it can be helpful in case you don't have a healer like rear guard or a Melga, which of course I don't have, or a Rune Keeper. So Cornelia can act as a good healer and as a good crowd control champion. So it would of course depend on your account. Maybe you're somewhere in the early or mid game. If you do have Cornelia, she can help you out with your Dwarves faction wars as a great support champion as well. And one of the best ways to get an aura in this game, I mean, is to have this increased ally speed in all battles, because there's so many areas in this game. We have arena, doom tower, clan boss, dungeons. Having an increase something like increase attack, increase defense, HP in all battles is an excellent aura to have. So you can put her as a lead in anywhere in the game. 18% ally speed in all battles is excellent for early and mid game. So if you have her, you can use her in a lot of areas as well to support your team. All right, and let's go to the Demon Spawn epic. We have Magnar right here. This guy got a lot of flack because of what he looks like, but I mean, his overall appearance is okay. It's just his face right here. As you can see, this one looks like it's supposed to be the eye right there, but when we turn his face to the other side, he doesn't have that eye, but it looks like he has this hole in his helmet or skull that looks like an eye, but makes him look more like a fire chicken. So it's like a roast chicken, but instead of being for dinner, he's sort of like burnt, stayed in the oven for such a long time. So there you go. Now we have Magnar the burnt chicken. All right, so yeah, so that's what I like to call him. I always see a chicken whenever I look at his face, especially from this side. But anyway, yeah, he is an HP based champion, one of the three that we get from this lineup. He has this nice decreased defense A1, and he has this AoE hit, and this is probably the most talked about skill in his kit, is because he places an extra hit on enemies without HP burn. Now the weird thing about his kit is that he has a lot of skills that work with HP burn, his A1, A2, and A3, but he doesn't place HP burn by himself. So he needs another champion to place those HP burns, which is very weird. I don't know if we have a champion in raid like him, but he does work even if you don't bring anyone with HP burn, because if you don't, he will hit very hard, especially as an epic champion that is easier to build, to book, as opposed to a legendary champion. So he has a 2-hitter AoE here, and this hits very hard. Yeah, so and if you decide not to take advantage of that, you can also build him or pair him with another HP burn champion, and then he will do a stun instead. So you can build him in many ways. If you decide to go for a stun build, like if you want to use him in the spiders, and you want to use him in high level spiders, wherein you don't really necessarily want to kill the spiderlings, you want to keep them alive so that the HP burn would of course deal damage to the main spider boss. Then you can build Magnar with low damage, and just build him with a lot of accuracy. Make sure that the stun lands on those that have HP burn, because you don't want to be killing those spiderlings. But yeah, if you want to build him for damage, he will hit very hard, which is rare for a champion that is not an attack-based champion. And of course, we don't have a lot of HP base, so he definitely feels that void. Like when you get to a Doom Tower secret room that you're only allowed to use HP-based champions, he will be there, and he might be your hardest hitter in the game, other than one of the recent legendary fusions that we have, which is Versulf, the Grim, which also has a double hitter AoE that has certain conditions. So looks like Plarium is doing more of that. AoE hitters that will do double hit, assuming that there is the right condition to do so. He also has this debuff spread here, although this one is kind of weird because he will only do it to other enemies that have HP burn already on them. If they don't have HP burn, then it doesn't do much, and it will increase the HP burn on all enemies. So yeah, so his kit is kind of weird. You can build him in many different ways, but however you build him, he will not be able to maximize every single thing in his kit. And of course, he is always dependent. If you want to make him an HP burn supporter, he is dependent on having another AoE HP burn champion in the team, and it cannot be a single hitter HP burn. Like for example, a Cephalia, who has a single hitter A1 HP burn. You need an AoE HP burn for Magnar to work. All right, and yeah, he has this passive right here. I don't think this passive is that good. He only heals for 1% of his max HP every time anyone in the battle takes damage from an HP burn. So assuming we do it in Spider, you have, let's say, 10 HP burns there, then he just heals by 1%. I mean by 10%. That is fine, but Seal of the Drakes does the same thing, and of course for the whole team, and she is a free legendary. I don't think this one, and it's only on himself, will do much. It's a nice little heal, but for it to be of any good, there needs to be a lot of HP burn that is active all at the same time. So I don't think this passive is that cool, but if you do plan to use him, this A2, I would think it's definitely the best way to build him, with a lot of damage, a lot of crit rate, crit damage, HP, and make him hit hard. All right, so my voice is really giving up, but I will finish this video just for you guys. We do have one more champion right here. We have TOLF the Maimed, which is an orc, also an HP based champion. Yeah, he has a 2-hitter A1 that heals this champion by 30% of the damage inflicted. That is a cool ability, helps him keep alive longer, but he has this thing that is unique about his entire kit, that his attack cannot be critical both on his A1 and his A2. So when you're building TOLF, don't put any crit, both crit rate and crit damage on him. Just give him a lot of HP, a lot of defense and speed and some accuracy for him to land his stuns. But yeah, no point in giving him any crit at all. All right, so his A2 has this weird thing that when he's attacking a boss, it would do a different thing, and when he's attacking a non-boss, he would do another thing. I don't really see the point of all of this. It's just it's worth taking note of this first part right here, that if it's attacking a non-boss, it will decrease the target's HP to 50%. This is good for those really high defense or high HP champs that are hard to get their HP from 100% to 0 in just one hit. So if you're somewhere in the earlier mid game and you're facing that kind of champion, then TOLF can be one of your champions to deal with that, because he will immediately decrease that champ's HP to 50% just using that skill. So it can be a nice skill to have, and he does stay alive for a very long time because of his being HP based. And I think when I saw this skill, and I remember in my early free to play days, you do have a hard time with the Magic Keep, because the Magic Keep boss does put a lot of shield every single time, and if you don't have a champion that would remove buff, steal buff, then you would have it would be a very difficult fight. But this guy would decrease the value of all enemy shields by 50% at the start of every turn. So whenever he gets a turn, he will decrease the shield of the champion. So against the Magic Keep boss, if you're having a hard time with that as an early to mid game player, TOLF would definitely help out there. And if I had TOLF back in the day, he would definitely help me out. I think I had to build a Mystic Hand to help me out with early to mid game Magic Keep as a free to play player. So yeah, so TOLF the Maimed would definitely be a big help if you don't have those kinds of champion. All right, so those are the 4 epic champions for the fusion. I do think they're quite decent if you don't plan to build this or to fuse this champion, but my general rule is that if you have the opportunity to do so, always go for the legendary, because there is also the opportunity of it getting buffed in the future if you don't like their current skill set. But if you're lacking in resources and you can't fuse this champion right now, don't worry about it. These epics are also excellent. If you're going to have to choose one, I would go for this guy right here, Magnar. I think he is the best among these 4, but the other 3 are not so bad as well. All right, thank you guys for bearing with me in this video and my voice. I will try to get some rest so that I can produce another video for you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.